attention.
Yeah, so I implemented it and it got like 200,000 users in like the span of 2 weeks. It was really, really good, but I think this is the next level. Would you like to come and try our prompts? Anybody? Could be anything.
Have it generate a wireframe diagram for exploration of a tree of thought. I don't know, exploration of using Miller columns and breadcrumbs and being able to show multiple different paths through a tree, color coded. But you'd have to make it a better prompt.
So the multimodal tree of thought is actually going to handle all the prompting for you. So you just give like a very abstract description. So you don't waste time writing out a full prompt, because that does take a long time. Most prompts on average take around like 20 minutes to make. And so if you make one prompt every 20 minutes, that's like, you're wasting a lot of time. So
wait, where's this idea of most prompts take 20 minutes to make come from?
We kind of like benchmarked this across like I recorded like all the times I made like a prompt that was actually working.
Yeah.
And it took a long time. So the prompt that we made for this was actually like, this is like some of the code. So here, basically what's going to happen is we have this idea, right? We want to make this diagram. What's going to happen is GPT-4 is going to enrich this prompt with very granular and very precise descriptions and categories of how to generate an image that looks like this.
Am I going to see the enriched things as well?
Yeah, so you're going to see the prompts, and here you go. So here's the prompts. This is the first iteration.
Yeah, and it's totally not what you mean.
Yeah, I don't. This is Stable Diffusion. I don't think Stable Diffusion is particularly.
Even DALL-E sucks at trying to do anything like. Yeah.
So
diagrams are really not good.
It's a retrieval problem.
So this is the
first
iteration.
Maybe the mermaid thing is the better approach for what I want.
So this is create a surreal digital painting of a wireframe. That's the first prompt. This is the image, and then so basically the flow is the following: you have the description, right? Then that prompt is enriched. Then the idea is generated using an image generator. Then that image is evaluated using GPT-4 Vision.
Yeah, and you could save both credits and time if you allowed me to get feedback on the enriched thing before you sent it out, because like. The thing that I really wanted, and that I've been building is basically doing tree of thought prompting with other humans. That's what Rome has been doing for the last 2 years, or even tree of thought prompting with yourself. But if you do not like having the system do the whole thing without humans in the loop, you lose so much of the ability to steer. And you lose so much of the benefit of the tree of thought process is actually in how it changes your, like the experience of evaluating the potential things allows very frequently for the generation of other options throughout the thing. So yeah, I'm like doing black boxing too much means you're going to make it less steerable, and that sucks and is bad. So and this is unsurprisingly just as far away from making progress the way I want the image to make progress.
Do you have a scene of an idea, maybe a dream?
I'll give another example where I didn't get the image right. I wanted an elephant being constructed by mitochondria. Like the idea is that mitochondria, because they make other mitochondria, even though they are building things very slowly, because they build the thing which builds the thing. An elephant is made out of mitochondria, right? So it is possible for mitochondria to create an elephant after first creating many thousand, successfully.
It's very out of distribution from the images that they're trained on.
Yeah, all of the things that I actually would want to use tree of thought prompting are going to be super far out of distribution, but also the main point for me of interacting with these things as a tool for thought as opposed to a tool for automation is situations where the experience of creation, it's like, I'm going to lean on this Paul Graham idea. It's not from him. It's perennial, but we don't write to communicate our thoughts, we write to have our thoughts. You have not actually had the thought until you attempt to write it, and when you attempt to write it, you realize in the process of struggling to like articulate the thing, that is when the thought actually goes into clarification. That clarification allows for a new probabilistic field space of what your next thought is going to be. If you didn't write your first thought, you won't be able to have the second thought, right? So like, yes, you know, taking things through step by step also works for humans. Anything that actually is a prompt hack that makes the LLMs better will, like, I give very high priors to it will make your thinking better if you try to do it, but also like they can be cognitively exhausting.
Yeah, so we made this in like the span of like 20 minutes. Most of the time, again, took the prompt. The logic was pretty much already handled because the Swarms framework, you could just easily import these, and you could easily import the models. So like we use OpenAI, Stable Diffusion, and GPT-4 Vision to all handle their respective responsibilities. And so basically, this is like kind of like a design team swarm. Essentially, where you have these various agents that whose sole purpose.
What's the agent that you do for evaluating? Because the nice thing about tree of thought prompting was the idea of that paper was that the models are much better at saying whether A is better than C. They're better at selecting a good idea from generating a good idea. And my question is that the question was basically like, I didn't see in the user interface any indication of first I don't see a tree, or the idea of breaking the problem down into multiple different steps and then selecting the best option at each level. So my question is is that, could you, how hard would it be to show what one was being selected and allow the end user to overwrite the selection at each step in the process?
It would not be particularly difficult. It would just be like refactoring some of the UI code, which is not really long.
Yeah,
but we could definitely. That's definitely.
It is a hard UI problem. I can say from trying to solve it. It's like
this is all the UI code.
That we just started like moving off of. We basically have been rewriting Rome and React Flow because the tree is the tree that you get from an outline. So like Rome does allow you to express graphs. That's why block references are important, and that's why we've been able to run all these kinds of like complex flows amongst other intelligence. Basically, the advantage for us of working with Rome and a team that is trained in using Rome in this way is that well before we still don't really have human level intelligence from our LLMs, but we have other people that we can treat like LLMs, and so but the UI of outliners is really nice for writing things down, and it's really nice for doing the step-by-step stuff, but it's not an ideal form for like these kinds of chains where you're going to have different flows that end up intersecting with one another, and you're going to be like putting loops into your flows, and you're going to be like piping things in different directions and re-merging them back together. And so we've pushed the outliner. The outliner is definitely the fastest and most ergonomic way of entering in a certain kind of lightly structured data, particularly around step-by-step and that kind of stuff, but it's not the right way for for reading those flows or building that stuff out. Yeah, so, but, sick. Anyways, does that answer?
We're top there.
Sick.
Vidu, you are our final alternate presenter. Okay, so let's see. So a lot of what we were working on yesterday was tools for thought, right? So kind of how can you have AI be like a good thought leader, work with you, all this stuff. So one of the projects that like we ended up doing was kind of having interruptions be built in as you use a voice voice chat with ChatGPT. The whole thing there is kind of, if you want a better UI when you like use these things as co-pilots, you want them to kind of understand what are you saying as it understands where you're trying to go. The real good way to like use these things is like thought co-pilots is they know what you're gonna say. They bring up suggestions that you wouldn't think about. They guide you towards what you should be asking, where the conversation might go. They'll interrupt you and everything. So that's what we built on the voice side. On the other side, we were also like working on the whole knowledge graph for learning. Hold up, let me try to.
Not again.
Let me try to fix this HDMI. This happened to us yesterday too. Oh God.
HDMI hates them.
Bro, literally just us.
That is crazy.
You know, on battery, maybe you have to charge it at the same time.
No, it's out of battery. Sure, we'll throw in a charger. It worked for a minute. Like, it was up. Oh wait, I'm dumb, bro. I have HDMI. I have HDMI on the other side. I think it's the dongle.
Let's go.
Okay, the dongle shit. So, really to just TLDR it, a lot of like interacting with ChatGPT using the web interface, it doesn't really like know how to interrupt you, how to guide you. So I like built a GPT for the first time. I don't use any of their custom instructions or anything. But basically, whenever I like try to learn something with it, I'll ask it stuff and like within literally 2 questions. So I ask it a question, answers it, I ask a follow-up, and it's like, all right, in summary, here's the answer. But I spent a good bit of time prompting this model to, one, as it answers its things, it always offers suggestions of like, do you want to dive deeper into this topic or this topic? It'll be pretty contrastive, be like, okay, maybe this is something you should consider. And then at the end of this research, it'll offer to generate a knowledge graph around all this. So this is something I was like working on. I'm giving a talk around like fundamentals of LLMs. I had a bunch of questions come in. I was like going through this. I went through this like pretty long conversation. At the end, you can have it like generate graphs. It's pretty iterative. It'll work on that. It'll like improve them, change them. But yeah, a few people tried it out. Most people thought it was pretty useful. I've started using this a little more than just a regular web interface. So yeah, something to try. It's in the sheets if anyone wants to try it. But yeah, it's just like the whole thing is that it'll be more interactive. It'll actually like ask back questions, offer suggestions, what it thinks you should ask about. And then at the end of like a really long conversation, you kind of have it all graphed together so you can like follow up on this. What are the different nodes? What should you go back, research? What should you like?
Are each of those nodes connected to like a response that it gave previously?
Yeah. So this is all based on a pretty long conversation. So
But
this
my question is like, for each of, like, is it interactive at all?
No, that's the thing. So right now the graph isn't interactive, but the way it's generated, it's actually taking into account like a layered structure of what's the main topic, what do we go deeper into, it's connecting into that, it's branching off of that. In another example, I asked it like to start to work on 2 different things, so it's like separated the 2, you know, like, okay, clip is like
Can I pause there for a second? Jared, is this the last demo?
Yeah.
Okay, so for the cheapest that it is possible to get Roam is $100 a year. If you buy a 5-year plan, from these demos, everybody here who wants one, I'm going to give so if the average age is 30, right, which is definitely younger than that, let's say it's 20, let's say that it's going to be, if we got 50 years until AGI, I should probably put a cap on the lifetime plan limit to 70 or something like that, but like, at the very least, everybody who's here who wants it, I will get you a lifetime access to Roam for free. So that has a sort of in-kind value of, I don't know, 100 times, I don't know, probably 50. So there's like 100 times 50 is 55 grand. Is that right? All right, that'll be the start. So everybody gets $5 grand in Roam credits. But particularly, I think I am going to be staying here for possibly this week. We have there, yeah. I'd be really a lot of the things that I saw here. You guys should be able to have access to the room with all of the AI plugins integrated, because and you should have access to the ability to like make dramatic modifications and write your own code that changes interfaces, because things like what you were just doing, like what you have already written could be pretty trivially swapped over so that you could make that graph like connected to both your existing knowledge graph and like interactive, so you would be able to jump back into the tree. I personally like don't use the ChatGPT interface anymore unless I need like unless I'm really enjoying the voice thing, because we didn't bake in the reader part of it yet. But it's so much nicer to be able to branch out on context windows where I can have it do like multiple different iterations and like adjust my. There's a lot of things. So I'll be available for for sort of office hours this week. Maybe one day per team if people want to like. I can give much more in-depth feedback on your particular thing, but I can also show you ways that you might be able to help like get you a lot further, a lot faster, because you can have an underlying interface that's actually designed for making a like not a one-off interaction with an AI, but actually a like much more rich and sort of hypermedia like model with the AI. The Rum Fund. We made a large investment in Jeremy, so there's no more money. Because we gave him $100,000 last night, so sorry. No, I'm just kidding. There will be still some prizes, but it did occur to me last night that for folks who are trying to commercialize what they're doing, we should have a talk rather than just giving you a grant. Not all these projects necessarily. I very, very greatly believe